Hello and glad to have you on the show today. The federal government says the recently released 2018 Global Competitiveness Report of the World Economic Forum is a validation of improvements in the country's enabling business environment. The 2018 report, which ranked Nigeria as 115th out of 140 countries assessed, is an annual ranking released by the World Economic Forum, which compares the national competitiveness environment of 140 countries based on 12 pillars, 4 grouped under basic requirements, 6 under efficiency enhancers, and 2 under innovations and sophisticated factors. The index is supplemented by an executive opinion survey of the local business community and organized private sector. The program is a portfolio on NTA News 24, where matters of finance and economy are reviewed and analyzed. Today, we will be taking a look at the 2-day Nigeria Economic Summit in Abuja, an expected outcome from the meeting. I'm Chimobi Walter Naji. Glad to have you join us. Welcome back. Comfort Amadu is standing by with the business news segment.
A warm welcome. We start with the just concluded 2018 Nigerian Economic Summit, where Vice President Yemi Osinbajo emphasized that improved education is vital in tackling poverty in Nigeria. He maintained that increased school enrollment, quality education, and getting the 9 million out-of-school children back to school is a priority to this administration, as it is central to growing the country's knowledge economy. He also made a case for the empowerment of entrepreneurs and enjoined Nigerians to support anti-corruption practices through reform procurement, administrative processes, and whistleblowing to achieve the desired change.
We've taken a strong stand on corruption, especially grand corruption, but there's still a long way to go. Cleaning up systemic corruption is, as you can imagine and as you know, a difficult task. By its very nature, systemic corruption always fights back, using the very institutions that are to be reformed.
And in a related development, the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, has reaffirmed government's readiness to partner private sector in achieving sustainable financing to infrastructure development in the country, noting that the federal government's power sector recovery program is in response to the nature of challenges in that sector. Mr. Fashola also disclosed that 180 firms have applied for license as meter service providers.
Will be funded by the private sector. I think what we need to do is just put the numbers of the infrastructure funding we need on one side and also look at how much the private sector is able to put in, and the terms and conditions upon which they will do so.
When it comes to trade facilitation and its activities, export, import, you cannot ignore the Ministry of Transport. So if we have improved the ease of doing business, it is because Ministry of Transport has also improved on its efficiency.
And the Nigerian government has issued the first gold refining license to improve the country's economy. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udo Udoma, who made this known at the 24th Economic Summit, said the federal government is finalizing modalities to purchase gold from local refineries via a federal gold reserve scheme. He further stated that a local automobile assembly plant is being supported to double its delivery in Nigeria so as to drive economic growth in the country.
This accelerated development of the National Gold Development Policy by the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development and the progress recorded in implementing the Federal Gold Reserve Scheme by the Central Bank of Nigeria are direct solutions to issues which were presented by investors at the ERGP Focus Labs.
And in the meantime, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, says Nigerians' current proven gas reserve has risen to 202 trillion cubic feet from the initial figure of 199 trillion cubic feet. The Group Managing Director of NNPC, Dr. Mekanti Baru, who revealed this at a conference in Abuja, explained that on the average, Nigeria's current gas production is in the region of 8.5 billion standard cubic feet per day, adding that the country's unproven gas reserve is now about 600 trillion cubic feet. And with that report, we conclude the news segment. It's back to you, Chimobi. Many thanks for watching. I'm Comfort Amudu.
The 24th Nigeria Economic Summit with the theme Poverty to Prosperity, Making Governance and Institutions Work, brought together key policy makers, captains of industries and top government officials to brainstorm on solutions to the country's economic challenges. I met up earlier with a member of the Economic Summit Group, Mr. Nana Uday, to sort answers to some of the policies coming out of the summit. Here is an excerpt of that interview. Thank you very much and welcome to the discussion today. We will be focusing our attention today on the 24th Nigeria Economic Summit that is presently ongoing in Abuja, where a lot of industry, key players and stakeholders are coming together to have a think tank on ways to move the Nigerian economy forward. And I'm being joined today by, of course, the Chairman, Technical Committee, 24th Economic Summit, Mr. Nana Uday. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So this program is an annual event that has been taking place, and this is the 24th in the series. What has been the achievement of this economic summit for Nigeria so far?
Well, quite a lot. For starters, it's the first and foremost public-private sector dialogue platform. So even if we haven't achieved anything and we have achieved quite a lot, the fact that every year we have an opportunity to interact with the public sector on issues concerning the development of Nigeria is a major achievement in and of itself. So what have we achieved in engaging with government for the past 24 summits?
Yes.
We can go as far back as the very first summit. The recommendation to repeal the foreign exchange decree at the time, which impeded the flow of foreign capital into Nigeria, was a key recommendation at the very first summit we provided as President of Nigeria. So we can go as far back as that. Walking through the summits thereafter, we were at the summit for the recommendation to liberalize the telecommunications industry. That led us to the GSM region. We were also at the summit that the recommendation to fast track the privatization of public enterprises. Government right with that. Can go on and on. Pension reforms. Actually, I was in the room when the very first presentation was made with President Obasanjo on the need to institute pension reforms that we have now in the summit that recommended that. Into this administration, 2 years ago, the summit recommended at the time that it was very urgent for Nigeria to have an economic recovery and peace plan before the end of that year. There and then the government accepted the recommendation of the process for energy peace strategy.
All right, so let's talk about the issue of one of the areas that I noticed that you are focusing on most importantly in this particular summit is in the area of infrastructure, improving infrastructure for development and all of that. We did have a roundtable discussion on that today. What was the outcome of that?
It is not all the time that we come to the summit to talk about what needs to be done. We recognize that government is making huge investments in infrastructure. Yeah, that's a fact. But
given where we are, what we want to do, and the state of our infrastructure, and the huge infrastructure deficits that we have, our focus on what to do to accelerate infrastructure investment. And we approach it from two perspectives. One, are there alternative financing options beyond relying on discretionary allocation? Right now, most of the money that we put into infrastructure comes from budgetary allocation, and it depends on oil price earnings and oil price movements. But all over the world, infrastructure financing comes in different forms and degrees. The preferred option is the PPPs, but yes, we are not there yet in PPP delivery framework in Nigeria. So we wanted to focus on that. Are there other options there? Bond, debt, infra credit. There are a couple of options on the table. So we want to explore that and share thoughts with government around that. Fortunately, we have on our list the Minister for Planning and Housing and the Minister for Transportation, for the two ministries that are infrastructure. The other perspective we also focus on a deep dive, sectoral deep dive on the power industry. We all know that there is currently a liquidity crisis in the Nigerian electricity supply industry. And we wanted to see how we can restore financial viability into the sector. And so discussions were held around that. We are still working on the notes, on the recommendations made, but I can tell you, being in the room, we had robust discussions around it. The ministers responded to the discussions we had, and I'm certain that the options that we have pointed to, if implemented, will definitely put us on the path to accelerating infrastructure.
Okay, so yes, you had the Minister of Transportation written knowledge right there at the meeting. But then, what areas would you think, in your own thinking, that Nigeria should focus on in terms of infrastructure, rail lines, and all of that? What areas particularly can help to boost the economy of the nation?
If you listen to the keynote speaker this morning, he actually revealed it as what we already know, what we always know, which is power and transportation. If you can get it right with power, you can boost small industries, you can do small enterprises. If you can get it right with logistics, if I'm able to produce in my farm and move it easily to the urban areas, to the markets, to export. So what does that mean? We deal with roads, rural feeder roads, interstate highways, rail lines, ports, and airports too. And so if we can take a step in that direction of focusing on power and transportation, we will definitely get huge impactful returns on that. So that will be my personal advice being in the sector, and that's what we have also always argued should happen. But again, we recognize that the governance framework around our infrastructure sector still needs a bit of tweaking, which is what has, in our view, slowed down the progress that we would have made. And what does that say? What I said earlier, over-reliance on the public sector and the government to provide infrastructure cannot get us out of the woods. We must create an environment that enables private sector investment as we speak. It has to be embedded in laws, because when an investor comes into a sector to invest, the first thing he will look at is the laws. He wants to know that the laws of the land protect his investment. If I know how long products the railway or the ports or roads, don't even get an investor will look at it. I remember one story I heard. An investor wanted to invest in the railway sector in Nigeria. One of our big business persons invited them to that. And the first thing they asked for was what our railway act was saying about it. And they bought a 1958 or 56 law. That's what kind of railway sector. And naturally, they returned us and it had to happen. So, fortunately, again, back to recommendations at the summit, in 2015, we proposed a more robust engagement with the National Assembly. that will enable us work with them to review the laws that affect the business environment. And that led us to create the National Assembly Business Environment Roundtable, which is a partnership between the National Assembly itself, the NESG, and the NBA section of business law. So using that framework, we identified 104 legislations that if they are either repealed, reviewed, or enacted, will have a direct impact on the business environment and the economy. So one of those laws, we have about 15 priority ones, and out of the 15, about 6 are infrastructure related. So one of them is the railway, and fortunately we got it from the Senate. We are waiting for concurrence with the House and then take it to the President. But a couple of others, the big one, the National Transport Commission bill, has been passed by the National Assembly. And here is now moving to the President for assent. We listened to the chairman this morning, requested the President for a quick assent to it. Because what that will do is it creates an economic regulator for the industry, which has never existed. Because if you look at the economy, any sector you want to open up, the first you do is to create a regulatory framework. We could not have opened up the communication sector without the Communication Act that now empowered NCC to sell to auction licenses for GSM. So the first step in opening up the sector for private investment, create an independent regulator that assures an investor of a level playing field. So you can't get people to invest in railway, in roads, or in airport without an economic regulator for the industry. So that's what we're trying to get now, the National Transport Commission. Fortunately, the bill has been passed. We are hoping that the President decides to know, and we will then see what will happen to that sector. We've done it with communications, we did it with power, with the power sector, EPSR, Electric Power Sector Reform Act, that enables the unbundling of the old metal to level companies. And so the next sector will be transport. If we have it then we will have other bills for it, set up the Federal Road Authority, because we have an uploaded framework now that the ministry operates as the asset owner. And it's not supposed to be so. The ministry is supposed to be the policy driver of the sector. So the Federal Road Authority, that will be the owner of the asset. So if you want to invest in road, you have an asset owner to negotiate with and not the ministry. So what essentially we have done with this new framework is to delineate roles. Policy making and policy initiative is in the ministry. There will be an asset owner, like you have in Federal Road Authority, the owner of the asset. If you want to invest in the sector, you have an asset owner. Then you have a regulator. Then you then have the operator, which is the private sector. So we have laws now that if eventually passed and signed into law, clearly delineate issues. These are world standards for sectors that are looking for private sector investment, which is not what we have always had. And that's one of the value additions that NESG has brought into this conversation.
Thank you very much for that illumination. Looking at what the Vice President said during this speech, you need to speak a lot about efforts that have been made in terms of human capital development. Now, how do you think that this can play a critical role? Recently, the federal government did say that it has slashed the amount used in registering companies for small businesses in the country. How can this really affect the robust and untapped sectors in this country?
Formalizing the informal sector. Yes. And so the idea is to have a situation where unregistered enterprises can take advantage of these reforms. And by the way, the Companies and Allied Matters Act is one of the legislations that we have repealed and reviewed using this process. And beyond the ease of business registration, there are a couple of other provisions we have in the law, because it's one thing for a government to have a policy, but if you don't mention it in law, another government will come and reverse it. So it's good that the government has made the pronouncement you referred to.
So what would be the foreign policy direction moving forward coming out of this summit?
Foreign policy direction. Again, talking about foreign policy, we have to. There was a particular administration that had an economic diplomacy foreign policy. So we really need to have a foreign policy that ties our trade policy, that ties our investment policy all in one. So when you then have a president going to any country of the world, it's not just going for a political visit, it's going for a business and investment visit. And so that's what we expect to see. Foreign policy driven by our investment outlook, our trade policy, whether regional or global.
It's not always on our side of this discussion, but I'd like to give you this opportunity. Moving forward, what do you think Nigeria should do to improve on the economy that we have on ground now?
Good governance and strong institutions. Because over the past 23 years, we've had summits where we come up with policy recommendations and we need to do this, we need to do that, submitted it through. But at the end of the day, we realize that governance and institutions is key. Until we establish that nexus between good governance, strong institutions, and economic development, we will not have that breakthrough that we seek.
Thank you very much. Leadership and governance. That is the watchword for our discussion today. I've been speaking with the chairman technical committee on the 24th Nigerian Economic Summit, Mr. Nana Ojay. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so we'll move from here to Joy Uzo, who is standing by to give us an update of the Capital Market Review. Thank you very much for staying with us.
It's good to have you join us on the Capital Market Review segment. Now, for the week ended October 19, 2018, a total turnover of 1.380 billion shares, worth 15.149 billion naira in 13,478 deals were traded last week by investors on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The NSE All-Share Index and market capitalization appreciated by 1.19% to close the week at 32,841.69 and 11.990 trillion naira respectively. Similarly, all other indices finished higher, with the exception of the NSE Main Board Index, NSE Consumer Goods Index, NSE Oil and Gas Index, NSE Industrial Goods Index, and NSE Pension Index that closed lower by 0.57%, 0.63%, 0.87%, 0.55%, and 0.59%. The financial services industry measured by volume led the activity chart with 1.237 billion shares, valued at 9.725 billion naira, traded in 7,404 deals, thus contributing 89.62% and 64.19% to the total equity turnover volume and value, respectively. The consumer goods industry followed with 62.505 million shares, worth 1.689 billion naira in 2,560 deals. The third place was oil and gas industry with a turnover of 26.341 million shares, worth 2.447 billion naira in 1,213 deals. Trading in the top three equities, namely Sunu Assurances Nigeria PLC, Zenith Bank PLC, and Guarantee Trust Bank PLC, measured by volume, accounted for 772.902 million shares, worth 7.841 billion naira in 2,050 deals, contributing 55.99% and 51.76% to the total equity turnover volume and value, respectively. There was no trade recorded for exchange-traded products, ETPs, during the week under review. However, a total of 3,523 units valued at 52,561.80 were transacted a week before in 3 deals. A total of 40,720 units of federal government bonds valued at 42.580 million naira were traded a week under review in 26 deals. 20 equities appreciated in price during the week. 40 equities depreciated in price, while 107 equities remained unchanged. And on the foreign scene, stocks in the United States opened slightly higher in early trading Monday this week as investors turned focus away from fears of rising rates to the latest batch of corporate earnings. Dow Jones Industrial Average advanced 62.56% points to 25,444.34. S&P 500 0.04%, and the Nasdaq Composite 0.48%. European stocks traded higher as investors focused on earnings and sentiments bounced back after last week's losses. German DAX advanced 0.54%, FTSE 100 0.30% to close 770.60, and the Francis CAC 40 also appreciated 13.08 to 5,092.74. That's it on the Capital Market Review segment. Many thanks for watching. I am Joy Uzo.
Thank you very much, Joy, for that update. And that's the size of our package this week. Join us on our social media platforms and contact us on the numbers showing on your screen. So we'll meet again next week. I'm Chimobi Walter, and many thanks for your time.